Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever looked at a really successful company and just thought, how do they do it? It's like they have some kind of secret playbook. Well, today, we're going to open that book. We're breaking down the core principles of business strategy and marketing to show you exactly how great ideas become total game changers. Let's dive in.
So it all comes down to this, right? In a world packed with competition, how do businesses actually win? I can tell you it's not just luck, and it's not even just having a great product. It's about having a master plan, a strategy. So how do they build that? That is exactly what we're here to figure out. All right, first things first, we have to clear up a huge misconception. When most people hear the word marketing, they immediately think of Super Bowl ads, billboards, clever Instagram posts. But you know what? That's just the tiny tip of the iceberg. Real marketing, the kind that builds empires, is way, way deeper. It's a core philosophy that guides the entire company.
Check out this perspective from the absolute legend, Peter Drucker. This quote totally reframes the whole idea. He didn't see marketing as just some department down the hall. For him, it was the essential bridge connecting what a company does with what society actually needs. The goal isn't just to sell stuff, it's to serve real human needs. Thinking about it that way, it changes everything.
And the marketing guru Philip Kotler, he really builds on that. Let's pull this quote apart for a second. He calls it a social and managerial process. But look at the key words here: need, want, and exchange of value. See, marketing is the engine that drives this whole cycle. It's about finding a need, understanding a want, and then creating something of value to fulfill it. Okay, so if the big goal here is to satisfy needs and wants, we have to get super clear on what those words actually mean. They might sound kind of similar, but in business strategy, they are totally distinct concepts. And honestly, they are the absolute building blocks of all demand.
Let's start with a need. A need is the fundamental stuff. It's a non-negotiable. You need food, you need water, you need shelter, right? These things are universal. Marketers don't create them, they're just part of being human.
Now, a want, this is where things get interesting. This is where the strategy kicks in. A want is the specific way you choose to satisfy a need. So you need food, but you might want a hamburger, fries, and a soda. Your friend might want a salad. The need is the same, but the want is shaped by our personality, our culture, our experiences.
And that brings us to the holy grail for any business, demand. Demand is super simple, but it's crucial. It's a want that is backed up by the ability to actually buy it. You know, lots of people might want a Ferrari, but only a very small group of people can actually walk into a dealership and demand one. And that is the group businesses focus on.
So once a company understands that demand, what's next? How do they actually go about capturing it? Well, success is rarely an accident. It almost always follows a really disciplined 5-step process that can turn a simple idea into a market-leading product.
And here it is, the master plan. It's not a one-and-done thing, it's a constant loop. It all starts with step 1, market research, to really get the lay of the land. Then you move into strategy with STP. That's segmenting the market, targeting a specific group, and positioning your offering just for them. Step 3 is the tactical part, the marketing mix. We'll get to that in a sec. And finally, you implement the plan and then you control it. You watch the results, you learn, and you feed that knowledge right back into the start of the loop.
Let's zoom in on that third step, the marketing mix. This is where the strategy gets real, where it becomes action. It's all built around a legendary toolkit that every marketer knows, called the 4 Ps. These are basically the 4 main levers a company can pull to influence demand for its product.
So here they are, the famous 4. First, you've got the product itself, what you're actually offering. Then, the price, what you're asking for it. Third is place, which is all about how you get it to your customer, your distribution channels. And finally, promotion, how you communicate with your customers, the advertising, PR, all that stuff. You can tweak any one of these, but the real magic, the secret sauce, is getting all 4 to work together perfectly for your target audience.
But, there's a modern twist on all this. The old goal was just to make a sale, a single transaction. But today, the game has changed. The smartest companies use those 4 Ps to build a long-term relationship because they know the real prize isn't just selling one product today. It's turning that customer into a loyal fan for life.
Okay, so let's zoom out a little. Let's go from the marketer's toolkit up to the CEO's office. How do leaders make those huge company-wide decisions? Well, they need tools that work like a strategic X-ray for their business, tools that let them see the whole competitive landscape with total clarity. The first, and probably the most famous tool in the box, is the SWOT analysis. And you know what's great about it? It's so simple, but it is an incredibly powerful way to get a snapshot of exactly where a company stands at any given moment. So here's how it works. It's a simple grid. You start by looking inward at the things you can control, your strengths and your weaknesses. Then you look outward at the big wide world you can't control, and you identify your opportunities and your threats. A truly great strategy is born right at that intersection, where you use your strengths to jump on those opportunities.
But of course, most big companies don't just sell one thing, right? They have a whole portfolio of products. So how on earth do they decide where to put their money and their energy? For that, they often turn to another classic tool called the BCG matrix. It basically helps them manage their products just like an investor manages a stock portfolio.
This matrix looks simple, but it's brilliant. It sorts products based on two things: how fast their market is growing and how much of that market they own. Your cash cows, in the bottom left, are your reliable moneymakers in slow industries. You milk them for cash to invest in your stars, your big winners in fast-growing markets. Then you've got your question marks. These are your gambles, your risky bets. And finally, your dogs, low-performing products in slow markets that you might need to get rid of. It's a pretty ruthless but super effective way to allocate your resources.
So what's the big takeaway here? Winning in business isn't some kind of magic or a dark art. It's more of a science. It's about really deeply understanding human needs and then using these powerful frameworks to build a smart, strategic plan. Now that you have a peek inside the playbook, I'll leave you with a question to think about. Which brands out there do you see using these strategies masterfully? Think about it. Thanks for tuning in.